Hi, I'm Luca.
And I'm Isabella.
And we are here at the Carolina versus Bruins game. It's just about the start of the third. It's 7-1, and you are watching Post to Post.
Hello and welcome to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. And Christopher, for our Christmas mail time video, he sent in a package, and in the package was this sealed hockey pictorial from 1967, unopened magazine here.
1967, the year that the NHL doubled in size from 6 teams to 12.
Yeah.
Including, as a matter of fact, the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd notice that. Yeah, Philadelphia Flyers. Thought a good video for me to wear this jersey. Beautiful jersey, by the way.
It's gorgeous.
And we didn't open it when we opened the package because we felt we didn't want to ruin the value of it. And then Christopher said, "Man, I can't believe you guys didn't open it on camera. Like, I'm so excited to see what's in it because
I'm dying to see what's in it too. I didn't want to expose it to the elements and increase its opportunity to go through aging and stuff. So perhaps once we're done looking through it, we'll find a way to seal it back up and get the air out of it and get it back in a place where we can display it properly and look after it like it should be looked after. But this is wonderful.
Very wonderful, Pretty cool.
I'm going to cut into the plastic covering, and we're going to take it out and have a look at it.
All right, let's get it done.
It's kind of like opening a pack of hockey cards, but it's the hockey pictorial from December of 1967, and it's the first couple of months of the new NHL.
Like one of the most exciting times in hockey. I think about, we just got Vegas. Well, try getting 6 teams in basically 1 year.
Or if you look at it the other way, 31 teams. Or 30 teams in 1 year, because the league doubled in size, right?
I guess, yeah.
So the economy of scale would be similar.
Yeah.
So we're just going to run the plastic here off. I don't want to stress anything when I open this up, so I'm going to be a little more careful.
It's shrink wrapped pretty good.
Yeah, and it's pretty thick plastic. It's nice heavy stuff. There, that's pretty good.
Good job.
Yeah. So this was 50 cents when it was new. I can see from the cover price here. 50 cents. That's kind of neat.
I feel like that's not really that great of a price.
Well, back then, 50 cents would buy you, and I was around, so I can speak from experience. My mother would send me to the grocery store, or the corner store, for a loaf of bread.
Okay.
And she'd give me 50 cents. And I'd come back with a loaf of bread, chocolate bar, some candy, a Coke.
Heck yeah.
And maybe still have a nickel left over.
Was this the Coke back in the day that actually had cocaine in it?
Yeah, but it really stung the nose. Just kidding. Now, the first thing I have to do is...
I can't imagine it smells like...
No, it's got like basement kind of musty musty smell, so it probably sat in a box or a container for a while.
It's going to be hard for us to show you on camera what's in here because we're so far away from the camera. So what I'm going to do is the most interesting things, like the cover and some of the articles and stuff, I'll take pictures of it and then put it into edit it into the video and post. So
the cover says it's not a glossy cover, but it's not newsprint either. It's not too flat. Photo story special, Big Jean Beliveau, the newest member of the 400 Club. Also, this is the first cover action shot of the new teams. And on the front cover, you see 2 St. Louis Blues and 4 Pittsburgh Penguins going down into, looks like the Pittsburgh end, because there's the goalie. And the bottom headline, the most radical change in hockey. And sure, at that time, it would have been. Great moments in hockey. Ads in here for things you can't have ads for anymore, including cigarettes.
Yeah.
So tobacco products haven't been able to be advertised, I think, since sometime in the early to mid-1970s. So back then, though, it was open season and fair game. There's also an ad for Daewoo skates when it comes at 108 miles an hour. Extra protection from Daewoo skates. So here's the table of contents, NHL stories. There's several stories. Edjoyal, Chico Mackey. There's a story here about Jean Rotelle, Bobby Bond being working with or playing for the Seals. Brian Conacher. Now, there's a Conacher who's playing these days.
Is there?
There is.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Is it Corey Conacher, maybe?
I have not heard that name in years.
Yeah. The Conacher name has been associated with the NHL for almost all of its existence. And I think there's still a Conacher playing right now, a young fella.
Okay.
So we'll have to look that up. But
What name did you say?
I thought it might be Corey.
Okay.
Conacher?
Yeah.
Let's see. Anyway, I think he's out west, so that's why we wouldn't see much of him. The most radical change in hockey, will 5 be the lucky number for Gilles Tremblay? Never tangle with a plaguer. Now that won't make any sense to you, but when the St. Louis Blues debuted in 1967, they had 3 brothers on the team, Bill, Bob, and Barclay Plager.
Okay.
So there you go. A little bit of history there for you. Also on that 1967 St. Louis Blues team was Glenn Sather.
Oh, really?
And a few other players that have gone on to distinguish themselves in hockey as builders and coaches and owners and GMs and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So, yeah, there you go. Ed Westfall. And there's coverage of other leagues, the American Hockey League, the WHL, the IHL, the CHL, and the EHL. Charlotte, the ice capital of the South. That'd be Charlotte, North Carolina,
Yeah.
right on the South Carolina border. So it's just, this is great because it's all things hockey and all teams, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Photo story of Jean Beliveau on page 22, so we're going to go there for sure. And there's great special features as well. So this is fantastic. There's ads there for Bauer Skates, the Sheraton Hotel chain. There's the Johnny Bauer, Yardley Player of the Month. And Johnny Bauer, who just passed away just a matter of days ago. And so that's fantastic. Fan Talk, so where fans write into the magazine. There's people writing from Bristol, New Brunswick.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, Longmeadow, Massachusetts, Bronxville, New York, Prince Rupert, BC, Montreal, and Hamilton, Ontario. So very much
There's an old pipe
pipe
ad there.
Yeah, Mackenzie filter pipe. So we have the Johnny Bauer, an ad for tax, some interesting cartoons. First off, there's a whole bunch of hats in a hat shelf, and they're all getting larger. And the guy's looking at the other guy saying, "Don't tell me his head didn't swell after each hat trick." The hats are getting bigger. And then a wife is talking to her husband, who's got this very guilty look on his face. And there's these 3 lovely ladies dressed in hockey gear. And the wife's saying to the husband, "You didn't tell me you coached a girls' team." And at the bottom, the 2 guys talking, watching this other hockey player, they're all dressed in hockey gear, who's sitting in a nice chair, and this lovely waitress comes over, and the guys are saying to each other at the back, "Boy, I wish I could score 70 goals a season." So he was obviously getting special treatment. How to score more goals. For Gordie Howe, it's an ad for Robin Hood Oats.
Jeez.
Join Canada's national team at the Olympic Hockey Championships, Lufthansa German Airlines. Ad. A crossword. A hockey crossword with a picture of one of the clues, and I don't actually recognize that player. Lou Angotti in a Philadelphia Flyers uniform. And that just goes to show you, this is 50 years since these teams joined the league, and you would be hard-pressed.
Like, look at the black here.
Yeah.
It's going into the gloves, you can't see it.
Yeah.
And the line, the orange kind of comes in like that.
Yeah.
The logo's the exact same. The white on the shoulders, it's all the same. So
there's tradition for
pretty
you.
cool.
And Philadelphia, it just goes to show you how smart the designers were who made that.
Oh, yeah,
that
absolutely.
jersey, that logo, and picked that color scheme because it has stood the test of time.
This will never change.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, I always say I like to see new logos and stuff, and I do. But at the same time, I don't ever expect or necessarily want this logo to change.
So Chico Mackey for the Chicago Blackhawks. That first article is about Lou Angotti, who was playing for Philadelphia at the time. So here's Chico Mackey saying, "I'm sure one lucky guy." And I remember hearing Chico Mackey's name called out a lot on hockey broadcasts back in the day.
What is this?
And this is, it shows you how times have changed. At the top of the photograph, another reason he's lucky. Like, he's not just lucky because he's good at hockey and he scores goals and he plays in the Chicago Blackhawks. He's lucky because he's got his pretty wife, Nancy. Yeah. And it shows him helping with the dishes.
Jeez.
Isn't that great? But today,
Yeah, I don't think you'd see it now.
you wouldn't see it today because...
There'd be someone get offended out there somewhere.
Well, maybe. And back then, I mean, times were different. Women were more support roles and accessories to the man's career. And nowadays, men who play hockey are, I think, far more eager and willing to recognize the important role that their spouses play when they're away and things, letting them do things that they do.
Well, they do a lot of things on their own too, like do charity work, and I know specifically in Montreal, they do this call-in kind of donate thing once, I think, just before Christmas.
Yeah.
And like, all the wives and stuff contribute to that. And
wives and former players, they'll all sit there almost like those PBS telethons, you know, send in your money. And they'll answer the phone so you can talk right to them when you're making your donation to the Children's Hospital or the whatever charity.
Yeah, and I think a good example is probably Phil Housley, who's the coach of the Buffalo Sabres. I don't know what his wife did when he was playing, but now...
Yeah, she's a candidate for the Senate.
Yeah, exactly.
In
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
To take over Al Franken's seat that he resigned, and she's a very accomplished political figure in Minnesota, and she's going for it, and good for her.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, the wives of hockey stars aren't accessories anymore; they're their own people, as they always were, I guess. All right, and here's on the very next page. This is a man who doesn't have a pretty wife, because the headline is "It's rough to be a bachelor," and it's Ed Joyal.
The old Kings jersey.
Yeah, marriage broker wanted. So apparently they're trying to get Ed Joyal hooked up here somehow.
Jeez.
And here's the pictorial of Jean Beliveau, fabulous Big Jean, newest member of hockey's most exclusive club. Number 4 hits 400. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is amazing. So it shows various pictures. First off, with him playing with the Quebec Citadel.
There's some pictures in here I haven't seen before.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like this one. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, he was a big star in Quebec City. Huge. Just huge.
Huge. He was huge.
Yeah, and of course, one of his many Stanley Cups. That we now have an autographed photo of him with the Stanley Cup.
Yes, thank you, Jared.
Thanks to Jared. That's wonderful. And here's Jean Belivau's lifetime record so far, up to the 66-67 Montreal Canadiens. He was injured, I think, a lot of that year because his game numbers are only modest there. But he's quite the fella. And Rocket Richard, who looked still quite young at the time, even though he'd retired several years earlier.
Blackhawks jersey behind me.
Yeah.
That hasn't really changed either.
No.
So that's pretty cool.
It hasn't. That's another jersey that stood up very, very well. Yeah.
Even St. Louis, I mean, I don't know if you can see it up there. Like, that logo hasn't changed,
Nope.
really. They kind of played around with it a little bit, but, I mean, in general, it hasn't changed at all. So
Pittsburgh's gone through a lot of color changes and logo changes.
Well, the original jersey, which is Pittsburgh.
Which is
like
Pittsburgh
this.
written across it, yeah. So, you know, they've gone through some metamorphosis a little bit, but the others, for the most part.
And the Kings, I guess.
The Kings have as well, I guess, yeah. And, of course, one team, Minnesota North Stars, ended up in Dallas, so that obviously was a fairly major change. So in the pictures here, there's Beliveau with his family in the family album, and with his kids and his wife. And his wife, who's featured on this page, page 26, she still goes to the Montreal Canadiens games.
Every game.
And she has 2 seats and often has a guest with her. It could be a family member or another member of the Montreal Canadiens alumni, or maybe a special guest that wins a contest or something. And so she goes all the time, and the players know where she is, and they always pay her respect.
Yeah,
they
definitely.
darn well should. Yeah. So there's Jean Beliveau and Bobby Rousseau in the Stanley Cup victory parade. And back then, when the Montreal Canadiens won the Stanley Cup, the mayor would just announce the next day, the parade will be on the usual route.
The usual route.
This year will tell for Rotelle, Jean Rotelle, played with the New York Rangers many years, a very fabulous hockey player. So this there's great stuff here. This is a fabulous
We'll have to spend
magazine.
time reading through
Yeah,
all
we
this
will.
stuff.
Head flipper of the Seals, Bobby Baughan. That's an interesting that you recognize that logo. do you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very good. And then, of course, the Toronto Maple Leafs uniform on him as well. Bobby Baughan. Isn't he the guy who played on a broken leg, scored the winning goal?
Ooh, I know the story. I don't know who it was. I don't know the name.
I think it might be. Anyway, we'll dig down there. No hockey brat he. This Leaf doesn't trade on the famous Conacher name. It's all about Brian Conacher. Yeah. Brian Conacher and his lovely bride. They don't even give her a name.
What? Are you serious?
They don't name her.
What do you mean?
I'm sure it's in the article, but it's not. It's not there. Wow. The most radical change in hockey, and how many changes have happened since? Expansion? Question mark. Players' union? Question mark. Minor loop shakeups? Question mark. Yeah.
Jeez.
Instead, it's not any of those things that's the most radical change. What's the most radical change, according to this Detroit farm team director? The dropping of amateur sponsorships.
Oh.
That's the most radical change.
What's an amateur sponsorship?
Well, I guess, amateur players or amateur teams would have money flowing in, where nowadays, the definition of amateur, certainly that was the reason why NHL players didn't play in the Olympics until the early 90s, was because the definition of amateur was that you couldn't make any money playing hockey. And the Russian Red Army hockey team, they were all being paid as soldiers. They weren't hockey players, they were soldiers.
That's true, yeah.
So they could play as amateurs. Meanwhile, the NHL couldn't play. And Russia and some of the other Eastern Bloc countries developed pretty powerful teams because their players actually did nothing else other than play hockey, but they were officially soldiers. That's how it used to be. Yeah.
What's this thing up here? Sorry. What's that?
Yeah. Pro control of chattel players, and these are players that are owned. Chattel is something you own. And threats of antitrust action brought about the sponsorship changes. Now, Jimmy Skinner wonders if the operators of amateur clubs can cover the $85,000 annual expense per team that the pros used to underwrite. If not, he fears, will hockey be able to develop enough players to go around the 12 NHL teams and all the other leagues?
That's awesome.
Yeah. And, of course, at this time, I think it would be unheard of to have a player that did not come from North America, and almost certainly Canada for the most part. So you didn't have Russians or Czechs or Swedes or Finns playing in the NHL. So you had to draw all of your talent from North America, and that did drain the talent pool quite shallowly. And some of the other leagues,
double the teams,
double the size of the teams,
double the players in the whole league. I mean, can you imagine how many players are in the NHL now? 1,200.
It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds for sure.
Not 1,200. That's too much, obviously. But
let's say there's 25 people on a roster times 31 teams, so 25 times 3, 750. There's about 800 players, I would say. Plus or minus.
All right, I'm going to do it right here on camera.
I'm going to do it right here. 775.
Well done.
Thank you. Then on the other hand, if you look at it the other way, if you took all the players in the NHL and cut the league down to 12 teams, what kind of talent would you have? Your fourth line on your worst team of 12 would be amazing.
Well, really, it would just be like the Olympics.
It would be, very much.
Kind of. I mean, you'd have an entire Team Canada, basically, or
it
wouldn't be Team Canada, but the caliber of one team could be the potential of Team Canada.
Just a whole bunch of ringers.
Yeah.
They're like the Harlem Globetrotters of hockey, just dicking around with the puck and having a great time with it. Yeah, so back in this day, and I can't pretend to know with great detail how hockey was funded back in those days, but nowadays we know that NHL teams will own or at least have very strong affiliations with the American Hockey League, with the East Coast Hockey League, or whatever they call it now. Then there's the SPHL.
There's all kinds.
Yeah, there's lots of funneling of interest. Not exactly like baseball, where baseball has AAA, AA, single A ball, and they're all funneling into
just a bunch of A's.
Yeah, a bunch of A's. But in the NHL, you have basically the American Hockey League is the professional league that feeds the NHL, and the AHL is paid players, and they have two-way contracts, NHL, AHL, sometimes with the players, so they can be sent up and down without having to clear waivers and all that. So they're very much part of the NHL organization. And clearly back in this day, NHL teams probably said, you guys are on your own,
I have a feeling you're right.
Yeah. All right. Pictorial Gallery. Sid Abel, who was then coaching Detroit with his great big dog. Looks like a Newfoundland. Yeah, it's a Newfoundland dog. Boston coach Harry Sinden talking to Ron Murphy. So just a bunch of photographs of various coaches and players and executives. And then there's a left winger, Gilles Tremblay from Montreal. Boom Boom Geoffrion's number was brought out of retirement and given to the Montreal Canadiens left winger in hopes it would inspire him.
Oh, geez, it was retired already back then?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's Boom Boom, who is said to be the guy, I don't know if everyone agrees with this, but Boom Boom Geoffrion is credited by many as the inventor of the slap shot.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, back in the 50s, he did something that they weren't doing at the time. Everybody was just taking wrist shots, and he was supposedly the first guy to actually do a slap shot by lifting a stick way off the ice and winding up like you're playing golf and then whacking it.
I guess that's where he got the nickname.
It
would make sense.
You're a pretty smart guy.
Oh, I couldn't do the addition earlier, or the multiplication.
So there's
Not that
Bill
smart.
Plager, Bob Plager, and Barclay Plager, the three Plager brothers that all played for the St. Louis Blues. Yeah. Never tangle with a Plager. They were pretty rugged customers, those guys. So there's Gunzo's Midwest Hockey Headquarters exclusive Black Hawk supplier.
Beer ad. Or no, that's right. It's not a beer ad. Ginger. Canada Dry.
Canada Dry.
Logo hasn't changed, I don't think.
Pick the champagne of ginger ales. Yeah, it's really much the same. Watches. Watch store in Toronto with a Montreal logo on the watch. You've got Chicago here, and you've got the Chicago ads for the local market. Mr. Versatile would even play goal if he was asked. That's all about Eddie Westfall. No mouth guards back then. His tongue sticking out. I guess if you got whacked in the chin, he'd be minus a tongue. St. Gabriel Street, Auberge, Montreal. Restaurants. Foster Hewitt.
Oh, just a quiz or something.
Yeah, a Picto quiz. So they ask you who these players are by giving you clues and showing you the picture. Hershey C expansion, no. Frank Mathers offers from NHL clubs, but preferred to stay with the Hershey Bears. They're still around, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. So there's the man was born 10 years too soon. Detroit's powerhouse. Portland's greatest assets. Playco.
He kind of looks like that comedian that you guys like, the really short Canadian guy.
Ron James?
Yeah, kind of looks like Ron James.
There you go. Yeah. Vat 69, Continental Casualty Company. Insurance, I guess. Strange place for a Sunday school teacher. Got the unibrow going on there.
Yeah, he's a scary looking dude there.
Yeah. Beautiful change of pace from the rough characters on the players' bench. Warren Beck's lovely wife, Mary Rose. And his two youngsters, 6-year-old David and Kelly Jo. Yeah. Ask the Stars. Dave Keon and Ralph Backstrom. Oh, my goodness. Now, Backstrom, these days, you see here Nicholas Backstrom. Ralph Backstrom, it's a Swedish name, but Ralph Backstrom, I don't think, was from Europe. He was very much Canadian grown, I think. Yeah. Hot incubator for talent, the CPHL. Not sure what that stands for.
Canadian Professional Hockey League?
It could be. It could be. Maybe.
We'll have to look that up. I don't know.
Well, there's a mention here.
Or Central Professional?
Brett Selby had played last season at Vancouver, and Forbes Kennedy, who had been a stalwart with the WHL club in San Francisco. Forbes Kennedy's from right here in the Charlottetown area.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In fact, he lives here nowadays, I think. Andre Boudria, Lowell McDonald, and Jimmy Peters, and Larry Mickey. So now we're into the non-NHL part of the coverage. Yeah.
We might be running a little short on time.
Alrighty, so we'll just keep on moving there.
I have to do these last couple pages pretty quickly.
Yeah. Alrighty. So as we go through, Southern Club 56-57, Charlotte, North Carolina, capital of the South. The Halliburton Hockey Haven.
Wait, go back one? Just
Okay, sure.
What the? Oh, Drink
Wink.
I thought that said
The sassy one from
that
Canada
said
Dry.
Dink Wink.
Yeah, Wink was kind of like a 7-Up or a... Yeah. I remember Wink. Used to take the odd sip of Wink myself back in the day. Rebbe 535, still around. Savings certificates. The Hockey News, still around. The Bible of Hockey. Of course, the Hockey News exists largely online these days. So a little fold over there. For Christmas, let your friends in on the fun. More pipes. The camera in the corridor.
The colored ad here.
Man alive. Old Spice, masculine freshness. It makes it great to be a man. Women like it too. And a head for 7-Up.
Yeah, pretty cool.
That is awesome. And of course an ad for another beverage on the back, a beverage that is not illegal to be advertised, but we won't.
So thank you very much, Christopher, for sending this in. It was a joy to go through it, and we'll go through it in more detail off camera and have some fun.
Now that we're allowed to open it, we'll actually have a chance to read it.
Absolutely. And when we're done reading it, we'll go back into a frame or something. We'll put it on the wall in the Hockey Main Cave out there.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys, for watching. If you're made it through the whole video, we really appreciate you making it through that whole thing. It was a lot of fun. So thanks for watching. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you in the next video. Adios.